Hey everyone, it's Ryder from Skip. I've got a great podcast episode for you today. We sat down with Chawanne. She's a fellow entrepreneur and YouTuber who's helped countless businesses through the EIDL program. And she's got an amazing story about how she first started doing YouTube videos after quitting her full-time job. It's a great story and was a great interview. So if you want to hear her story, stick around. And if you're an entrepreneur and small business owner who wants help, stick around until the end. I've got a special promo. As always, you can go check out more of these. Also, today's podcast and interview is supported by our Skip memberships. If you're curious about our memberships, go to helloskip.com/join or use the link in the description. Whether you're looking for exclusive access to weekly webinars, grants, and funding information, or you want in-depth one-on-one help, we've got all the options there for you. helloskip.com/join and use the promo code RYDERINVITE, or better yet, click the link below. Chawanne, thanks so much for joining today, and really happy to have you as a guest on the Skip podcast. We've done a handful of these now for folks who will be tuning in for the first time. We want to feature inspiring entrepreneurs who are helping other small business owners. So Chawanne, it's you've done so much on YouTube, but certainly we want to hear your story, how you got to where you are, putting out videos, helping people these last few years, especially go after a lot of the programs, not only the EIDL funding, which I want to kind of get to because obviously that's incredibly popular, incredibly popular. But huge welcome and thanks again for joining.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you're based in Michigan, right?
Yes.
Is that where you're from originally?
Actually, I'm kind of like a nomad, but I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and then I went to high school in Iowa. And my husband, he's from Michigan, so that's how I ended up here. But I've been here for about 22 years now.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think in one of your videos you had the old Detroit train station photo.
Oh yeah, I sure do. Yeah, and they're redoing that now. Some developer bought it and they're gonna make it into apartment buildings or something like that. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's great. That I visited Detroit a few years ago, and just the amount of change, because before I started doing these videos, by the way, in a former life I was an urban planner.
Okay, so you familiar with the space,
studied
right?
Detroit a lot, studied a lot of cities across the U.S. So
okay.
Well, I'd love to hear. One of your most popular videos was on, EIDL funding.
Mm-hmm.
We can start there because I'd love to hear, that story for you, what that meant to kind of, go through it yourself and then share it with your audience. And then of course I want to back up and see, hey, how you started doing videos in the first place.
Sure. So, I really kind of doubled down on those types of videos only because, so when they shut down everything in March of 2020, and I started applying early before they had the FAST application. And so I made a video about that, but that didn't really go nowhere. And then like 3 days or maybe a few weeks in after that process, the long application, they shut that down and then put another application out. So I just wanted to document that process for people like business owners like myself that probably didn't have the access to go into the bank and get people to help them with the PPP and also with the EIDL. So I think that was then I had people calling me and saying, oh, Chawanne, how can I get my application in the system? Because they really didn't have any clue. Even, for people like us, we probably used to computer processing and putting stuff in the computer. But a lot of business owners, they didn't have that type of knowledge or even access to put their information in the system. So I thought it was really important just to document the process and even document me corresponding with some of the representatives at the SBA department. So I thought it was just very important. And being a minority business owner, they were saying that, we wasn't, getting access to that type of funding. So that
Yeah.
part was very important to me.
Oh, that's absolutely. And you probably saw this. I assume people connected with you. I mean, when they leave comments and they say, uh, yeah, tell me more about how the process went for you. Um, but so much about putting out accurate information, which you do a great job of, I think is so important. 4 million people got
Mhm.
those EIDL loans. It's like $400 billion. That's not nothing. It's interesting now. I don't know how closely you follow the like the GDP numbers in the recession. Now we have 2 quarters of
Yeah.
GDP, and a lot of that we might point and say, hey, because we printed $5 trillion and half a trillion was for small businesses. So
Right.
anyway, it's important to be accurate with what when you're telling people how to go through the process and what to expect.
Exactly. Exactly. And another thing that I started YouTube before that EIDL, and I just wanted to document how it is to own a business. But I just found that when doing my research,
Mhm.
even prior to EIDL, most business failure is because of lack of funding. That's
Mhm.
the main reason: lack of funding, lack of planning, and lack of managing those funds. So I think that's one of the messages that I kind of try to beat into my followers' head. Like, you got to plan.
Yeah.
I even go onto these Excel spreadsheets, and those get the low views, but I literally go into an Excel spreadsheet and show a person how to do a pro forma and how to plan out their business and do even a reconciliation in their bank processes, because I think it's so important to you knowing where your finances are and how you're going to get those finances. I think that's just the main important thing to, like, even starting a business.
Oh, absolutely. That's great. When you do those demonstrations, I guess, what are some of the things that people most overlook when they're doing a pro forma or a profit and loss statement? Uh, yeah, yeah,
I think
or
I
just not
think
doing it in general, maybe.
most people put like cost of goods sold. They get that confused where that should be at. Most people don't pay themselves. You'd be so surprised. Oh, I get people where they get like their money from whatever services or product that they sell, but they don't put on the line item, hey, owner's salary or owner's pay. That should be on your P&L statement. Because why else are you in business? You got to support your family. And now, you started a business for the love. Now it's a nightmare for you because you're not paying yourself. So that is one of the main things that I see is like like putting that cost of goods sold before like the regular expenses. Then they don't put a lot of people don't pay themselves. It's
Interesting.
just like
Yeah.
they're doing it. Oh, I made a profit, but how much of a profit? Can you actually pay yourself from that profit? So
Yeah, absolutely. Especially early days with the solopreneurs, which is, I think, 75% of all of the 30 million plus businesses are like the one person businesses.
right,
Um,
right.
yeah, and yeah, to think, oh yeah, we're making cash flow, but then you forget or how to pay yourself
Mm-hmm.
correctly. Oh, it's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to, go back in time a little bit to before were out there in front of a camera, helping entrepreneurs. Yeah, to kind of, how'd you get into that? What did you do? Your first couple jobs.
So it's really crazy because before I became a business owner per se, I have an engineering degree. So I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I'm a chemical engineer by trade, and I was making pretty good money, pretty decent salary. Actually, on the scale of things, it was a great salary. If you look at other people's income, but One of the things that I my first child, I started selling baby products,
Mhm.
like natural skincare products for babies, and I got really into like breastfeeding, the natural care for babies, because I had so much problems with that. So I started selling stuff online on Amazon, and I did so well that I didn't necessarily quit my job. I just started planning, okay, so how can I quit my job? And so that business, I don't do that anymore. But I just started being in the mindset of, okay, I'm starting to have kids. How can I quit my jobs to like really be there for my children? And so I looked into franchising and all that
Mhm.
stuff. So my bread and butter, what I do now till today, is kind of morphed into commercial, more business to business. But I sell window treatments, and that's been my bread and butter for the last 6, almost 7 years. And it just, one of those things, it was like an epiphany.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm making, spending tons of time at this place of business, and I'm missing all the time that I could with my children, raising them, so that was one of the things that was important to me. And I talked it, luckily for me, I have a great husband, and he was like, no, you need to stay at that hundred something $1,000 job. But he was all for it. So eventually I morphed into um, my window treatment business,
Mhm.
and it's been very good. We've been very blessed and very fortunate to be able to for me to stay at home and work when I really want to work. And I make more money with my window treatment business than
Yeah.
engineering. So I want people to know, I'm not in a pole house. So
Yeah.
I do make pretty decent money with the window treatment business. And that led me to, okay, I didn't really know what was going on, in business. I was kind of like testing the waters, kind of like making mistakes as I go. And that's what led to my YouTube channel. So I wanted to like tell people, oh, I made this mistake. You don't have to do that same thing do that same mistake that I made.
And
Um,
what was that mistake?
oh, so like I grew too fast.
Mhm.
Like we were doing really well the first couple of years in business. So I got a retail spot. I built out a store, spent a bunch of money building out this store, got a few employees,
Mhm.
and I just wasn't really managing my finances. I wasn't really thinking, I didn't plan, wasn't thinking 6 to 12 months down the line. So that was one of the mistakes. And then the other mistake is like window treatment, believe it or not, is a seasonal business. Now,
Mhm.
if you're selling residential, people are ordering in the during the fall when the kids are in school, and then they order all the way up into May, and then between June and September is dead.
Oh,
You
interesting.
know, because people are out, they're not looking at their windows. They're outside playing, and because the weather is nice. It might be different in Florida, but Michigan is very seasonal. And I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Even with commercial fiscal budgets come out around June or July. Then
Mhm.
you have a more for bids coming out, and then 6 months later you have this bid that they accepted you on, and but you got to plan, because you'll get like 2 to 3 jobs a
Right.
year. But if you're not planning your money and planning when you're supposed to dedicate that time to apply for these jobs, you won't manage your finances, or
Right.
you'll miss out on stuff too.
That
So
that's a great point on the seasonality. And we've talked to a lot of business owners who've realized that now. I mean, I guess 2020 was kind of the ultimate seasonality, like what happens when things stop completely in some cases or some businesses, and then basically trying to get the funding so you can whether it's seasonality or a pandemic, right? But so you can,
Right.
it's basically survive. Until the next season. My dog is right here. She's wanting to say hi as well.
He wants to chime in too.
Exactly. Yeah. She knows about seasonality.
Right.
But what do you remember that first moment? That first video. I guess was it kind of I want to put up a first video to tell people about the business that you were doing. Yeah, talk about that. What it was like to do that first video, because I know a lot of followers, your followers, our followers, they love consuming information, but I always encourage them. You can be doing
Do it.
same thing,
Yeah.
especially folks who are thoughtful and have good information. Like we need more people to be, let's say doing videos, or whether it's video or audio only with Clubhouse, things like that. There's a lot of ways to share your message.
Sure. I was very nervous. When I tell you, when I looking at the camera, I feel like I'm natural at it now, but before, I mean, it's still up there. You can go and look at it. It looked like I'm on, reading from a script like a robot. So, but I shared, and the people that saw the video, they thought it was great that I shared my experience. And I think I forgot what I was talking about, but it was something about, hey, what not to do when you first start a business or something like that, in that type of subject. But I know I was scared, but I pushed through it. And as time went on, I just felt drawn to tell people what my experiences were. I thought it was my duty, and I feel like it's my duty and responsibility to help other people, to try to get them from that place where they're at to where I'm at, and even further, so because I feel like, I'm the way I retain information, I could give it to other people. It's like, I don't want to keep it for myself, so I think it's my responsibility to do it. So
absolutely. I think, one of the reasons why I love, right. Obviously we love doing this, but having successful entrepreneurs, and just by sharing experiences, people will learn so much. And everything around small business growth is increasing. The creator economy, maybe there'll be 5 million new businesses this year. So when I look ahead 10 years, it'd be like, oh, everyone in the US could have an LLC. Why not? Or a side hustle, or whatever your passion was, you can make it happen.
right.
And I know you spent a lot of time saying that. And I think part of that is showing the journey from day one to day whatever. I mean, I think you'd probably help people think longer term as well, which is important. People maybe, I don't know what it's going to look like in 1 or 2 months, and you can help them see what that might be.
Yeah. And then that's what my whole mission is to help people see, hey, you could do it. I was there, didn't know, what I was doing, and I was just filling in the dark or whatever, and trying to make heads from tails. But eventually, and it's going to be some rough spots, but I encourage everybody, to reach out to other people that you feel like you look up to, somebody that you could ask, take one to lunch, or join a BNI group. There is help. Don't feel like you're out there alone on this island. Is somebody there out there trying to get, that's been in your spot, so.
Well, that's a great seg into, a question that I'm always curious about, which is, what resources did you use to get where you are? Would love to hear if you had people, in-person people, or YouTube is obviously a great resource, but what resources did you have?
I totally, I'm a firm believer in networking. I'm a firm believer in making relationships with people. So I joined my BNI, my local BNI group. It's a local business networking group. And to this day, I was there from 2016 all the way up to 20, right before the pandemic. And I stayed because my children's schedule changed. So I had to, put that on the back burner. But I'll end up being the local president for my group. And to this day, I have people from my BNI group will call and check them because we built relationship. And to this day, I still have people calling me and asking me, hey, can you put window treatments up in my business? So I'm a firm believer in relationships. And, there's Facebook groups that you could join. I use Facebook a lot, especially to develop my YouTube channel. I joined different Facebook groups, and I just made sure I put myself in a place where I'm able to reach people where I wanted to be. Yeah. And Google was another friend of mine. So I'll Google everything. So, and that's how I learned most of my stuff. Like, people think I'm so knowledgeable, but I Googled it.
Yeah.
And researched it. You can find everything on the internet, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true. You can find it all. And obviously your ability to make it simple for people to understand is important. Save people the time. Just listen to me. People just want to listen to you. Yeah, you don't need to go Google yourself. But certainly sharing your experience, because that's unique to you. I think it's probably great to share like what you went through. I love I 100% support the networking. Obviously, during the pandemic, that wasn't really in person. Wasn't really an option, but all those groups on Facebook and the LinkedIn community as well. Certainly there's enough people. We should definitely do a live. Speaking of, because I think you've done lives before too, and we've been doing this for a while now. Certainly we should plan to do one of those, because
that would be great.
Interact with both of our audiences.
Yeah.
And that's where, people love. I mean, people love that. Not only on YouTube but on other channels as well.
Yeah, and Ryder, I go live lately since I'm trying to we're getting into real estate, me and my husband. So I've been documenting that process, and I go live every single day, and I put up work at home with me. Today was work in the park with me because I was at the park because my kids were playing soccer. But and hey, get online, ask me questions. I'm an open book. Nothing's hidden here. If I can't answer it for you, I could find a person to get the help for you or answer it for you. And I try to answer all my comments if it makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm an open book. I don't try to keep the information for myself. I'm not looking to make a profit off of. So my thing is, if I could help any way possible, I would.
Right. Well, at some point you may, when you have 100,000, a couple 100,000.
Oh yeah. Then
it's
join this course.
Yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Then that my tune might change.
Yeah, but I mean, absolutely, just putting it out there, because that's. And the consistency. I mean, making it a daily habit. I mean, for anything that it's for people who are thinking, how do I grow to a certain level? There aren't secrets. It's consistency for one. Sticking with something. Yeah. So that's great, because then people come to expect probably like, oh, when are you going live today? Right.
Right. Yeah.
I'd love to talk about because you're also involved in, grants. I mean, help identifying a lot of those programs. I mean, are there important opportunities that people should be thinking about now, whether they're like an existing small business or they want to get a side hustle going? Yeah, would love to hear what you're recommending for people.
I you know what, the government is, they're still spending money. It might be in a different country right now, but eventually that stuff is going to change. If you're in the tech space, transportation space, I signed up for their transportation email through the government.
Mhm.
They're looking to fund a lot of businesses in the transportation space, in the technology space. So I suggest everyone, and I'm going to create a video. My last video was that did really well was the Duns and Bradstreet. So
Mhm.
to get grant government funding, or even get a project with the government, you have to have a mayor's profile set up.
Mhm.
So um, I would suggest get your Duns and Bradstreet number after you set up your LLC or your corporation papers and all that stuff. Get on Mayor's. Mayor's is uh, the award system. It's basically the federal award system, and they will assign you a number. And
Mhm.
so when you apply for government funding or government grants or even government jobs, they're going to ask you, oh, what's your mayor's ID? And that's how they pay you through the mayor system. Anything over 25,000. Another thing people might not know. Now, I got my first commercial job because I was certified in my state, certified as a woman business owner, certified as a minority business owner, whatever your
Mhm.
certification, get certified, because you might not know, but you're on this list. This list, and they issue it out to some people that buy stuff. And that's how I got my first commercial job, is because I was on this list, because I was certified. I was a woman certified business, and they called me.
Okay.
And a lot of times, if it's under 25,000, they don't have to bid out the project. They
Mhm.
can just award you the project. So I would suggest, hey, get your DUNS number, get your certification, whatever certification that you fall under,
Mhm.
and get on the mayor's award system. And that's going to lead to a lot of funding that's available, especially through the government. And if you're in that tech space and the transportation, that is, especially if you are involved with EMV vehicles,
Mhm.
those are really important. That's what they're looking to push in the next 10 years. Transportation, even the network, like the internet service,
Right.
they're
Because
looking to push that a lot too.
a lot of that was from the bill, one of the bills from last year that
Yeah,
passed. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So
that's great reminders, which reminds me, I want to pull this up because this is, I mean, like, just it's it's worth emphasizing that the U.S. government's the largest purchaser in the world. Period.
mhm.
So, and to echo what you just said, certified as a women-owned small business, minority-owned small business, veteran-owned business. There's a lot of grants now for veterans, but
Yeah.
this just came out 2 days ago, I guess. But about how much has been awarded to small businesses, $154 billion. And you think about, you know, the EIDL was 400 billion. So
Right.
we're basically talking about almost half of that amount has gone to other small businesses. And there's, in terms of who it's gone to, this is really interesting. Um, women-owned small businesses, the WSB certification. The government's never good with acronyms, so
Yeah. Right. Right.
but it's our job, your Chawanne, yours as well. We can make them seem more accessible. But
Mhm.
26 billion for women-owned small business certified businesses. So
Mhm.
that's almost 5% of the total fiscal year.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's a lot of others. Here, the small disadvantaged businesses, 11% for the first time in history. So in
Yeah.
terms of a lot of data here. I love data.
Oh yeah.
I love
Yeah.
looking at the
I
numbers.
see you always pulling up the data
I mean,
sheet.
that's at the end of the day, I like to put it in terms of numbers, right?
Yeah, it makes more sense in terms of numbers, right?
Yeah. So but there's that. That was interesting. I remember seeing that,
Mhm.
and even this $10 billion from the state small business credit initiative. That's Michigan has funding now. By the way, Michigan's one of the 14 states, but there's nothing actionable yet. but
Yeah, they haven't put it in action, but
so
yeah, they have it in the works. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So,
What else should your followers and our followers? Obviously, I mean, for so many people that have been tuned into Skip, certainly want to say, look, there are great resources out there. Go follow Chawanne. Go check out your resources. But anything else that the Skip community should know about, from your perspective?
and yeah, for another point, I would say that, hey, it's nothing wrong saying I don't know how to do a pro forma, planning your business. And if they go to my website, I have business planning templates for free, um, that they could access, even your business credit. I have a step-by-step tool, what you need to do. Hey, if you just started off in your business, but I think planning your finances is probably one of the most important things, besides, okay, I want to get a grant, but
Right.
a lot of times, what are you going to use it for? So I think I would like to say, hey, planning is probably one of the first things before you start dumping money into a project or your business, or even if you want to get a loan,
Yeah,
they more likely they're going to want to see a business plan.
absolutely.
And
That's
it doesn't have to be a 15-page business plan. It could be a 1 or 2 pager. It's just need to have those bullet points on there.
absolutely. Yeah. You usually shorter is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the SBA, by the way, said it said, if you're doing a reconsideration letter, don't make it long, right? Because they don't,
just make it short and to this point.
Yeah. Shorten to exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great reminder too. And going back to, the window treatment business, early days, like over investing, thinking that, forgetting about the seasonality, but being able, just the exercise of saying, what am I not thinking of 1 year out, 2 years out? What's the worst case scenario, best case scenario? And like, what are your personal goals, like as a business owner? Because sometimes people forget, like, as you mentioned, if people forget to pay themselves, like at the end of the day, you're doing this to hopefully have more freedom,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
More control over your schedule, things like
Right.
that. And what's your website URL?
It's Chawanne Burns,
Chawanne Burns.
www.chawanneburns.com. Yeah.
So easy to, and we'll link
it's easy.
it right below here too. So.
Yeah, it's my name.
Yeah.
And actually all my social media is just Chawanne Burns.
That's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully everyone will go follow you there, and for a lot of those things. And yeah, it'd be great to do a joint pro forma exercise maybe, or even
that would be cool. Just a side note, my first hire in my business is, since I'm an engineer and I love Excel spreadsheets, I was programming them in my other job. And my first hire, she didn't know Excel. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? But yeah, I love Excel.
The power of data, when you can pull up data and numbers and say, and it's clear that you've thought about them a bit, as opposed to, right, some people just be like, oh, we can extrapolate based on like random assumptions. But no, just to do the exercise is so important. So
I'm all for it. Whenever you're ready, I'm all for it. And I have templates that we could use, or if you got some stuff,
Absolutely, yeah, we can pull resources together. Yeah, I mean, we have a few. We've got a great team as well, and so but yeah, let's would love to do that. But it's really great to hear your background, kind of what brought you to this point, because I think that's so important. When, like, what's the foundation of an entrepreneur, and what led you to that point. It's interesting to think. I hear this a lot as a parent, right? You discover this whole new world of like challenges, and then you're thinking about things you haven't before, and you're like, I've heard, my friend started a childcare company, kind of coming out of his business partner having kids. And now it's a major childcare company, but and so I've heard a lot of similar stories where it's that moment in your life where you're like, oh, this is tough. Can we do something about this? Well, Thanks so much, Chawanne, and it's great to hear from you and hear your story, and certainly look forward to doing a live for our audiences, and so we can do some more Q&A, because I know that's what people love. But
Oh yeah, they love that. Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you for having me, Ryder. I just really appreciate you. I enjoy your YouTube channel. I watch you all the time. And yeah, just let me know. I'm ready anytime. You know.
absolutely. Huge thank you to Chawanne for sharing her story. Really incredible to hear her journey and be able to ask her some questions. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to check out some of our past guests, check out some of the links on the screen or below. And if you want funding help, you want to become a member and support what we're doing here, go to helloskip.com/join. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.